Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It's just Chaz. I have not posted a video for a year. So, for my few viewers that will watch my Invisalign journey, I would post weekly, semi-weekly updates on my teeth being getting straightened. So that was really fun. I'm happy that I did it. They're still pretty much the same as they were before. I did not go with refinements. I think I remember my last video, me saying I was getting my retainers. I was kind of done with the just the constant appointments and all the stuff that went with it. I'm almost 50 years old, and it was just a little bit much with the Invisalign, the removing the buttons, putting the buttons back on, getting reshaped, the not x-rays, but the video, the wand was very uncomfortable for me. I don't like the dentist as it is, and then that was adding on to it on top of my regular cleanings and stuff. So I just let it go. I am happy though how it turned out because I had an open bite, and it did not close all the way, but it closed enough. So there we were a year ago, and that ended. And as I'm sitting here in my same space where I did my Invisalign dentist, and I'm looking at myself, I made another, not made, I had another journey after. And it was right after I was done with the Invisalign. So it was like I finished this, and then the next thing was I picked back up, and that was to lose weight. It is very noticeable because right now I'm on my teacher break, and I was like, let me go and do a recording. I don't know what made me do it. I was watching some YouTube shows because I get my teacher break and lunch at the same time. So I have I would say an hour and a half of a break. I'm still getting used to it being like that, but yeah, so it's kind of a lot of time. And I was sitting watching a show. I had graded papers, and I said, let me do a video, or whatever. And I looked at my last one, and in the video, I was talking about spring break. And we had spring break just 2 weeks ago, fast forward a year. So it's been quite a while since I've done a video. A little over a year. So just to speed you up, don't want this to be super long, and I can't wait to upload it. I hope I get some views. I went to the doctor, and I was the heaviest that I had ever been in my life. So I've always, my whole life, like most people who are overweight, it's been something that you've dealt with your entire life for most of us. And again, I'm not a medical profession. I'm a teacher, so I don't take any medical advice from me. Just disclaimer. This was just strictly like something that I did for myself. Lots of people, have embarked on this, but you have to consult your doctor and, go from there. But yeah, I went to the doctor, and I was the heaviest I had ever been. And I've been heavy, but I was in shock. And it was right as the Invisalign thingy, those videos I was making were ending. And my doctor and I are very close. She's been my doctor for 20 plus years. My family care physician. Her and I are around the same age, so it's so cool. We've actually like grown into adults together. If I recommend, if you can find a doctor like that, a primary care doctor, you stick with that person and you guys mesh well together. It is so great because there's nothing that I can't talk to her about. It's like, I don't have that problem, expressing myself to her. But anyway, she was like, Chastity, you got to do something. She was like, what's going on? So at first she was recommending to me, because she's seen my weight fluctuate over the years. Because I had a time where I did a real heavy exercise regimen with diet, probably for about a 3, 4, 5 year span, and I had got my weight I got it down, but it just wasn't attainable. I couldn't maintain that. It was attainable. I attained it, but then I couldn't maintain it. I maintained it for about 5 years, and then it slowly but surely crept back up. I had my weight had got really low too. I was probably in the 140s. And that was even smaller than I was when I was in high school. So, yeah, it just wasn't, maintainable. The constant dieting and all the exercise I was doing 6 days a week. So it crept back up. And then it was kind of like at a good plateau. I was around, I would say, between in the 180s and the 190s, fluctuating. And it wasn't the best weight, but it wasn't the worst either. And I was kind of maintaining that. And then I had my daughter. I got pregnant with my daughter. And then not long after that, so, that crept me up maybe 10, 15 pounds. I'm not going to blame it all on my daughter. It was my fault. But that crept me up about, I would say, 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds. So I'm going out of the 180s, 190s. Now I'm in the 200s to 220s of fluctuating. Okay. So again, it's getting worse, but I can walk up some steps. So, I'm okay. Then COVID hits. 4 years, my daughter was about 4 or 5 years after I had my daughter. So I'm trying to maintain the 200s to the 220s, in between there, sometimes 215, sometimes 212, just, fluctuating in that area. And then after COVID, it was done. I was working from home. As you know, I was a teacher, every teacher across America. We had an entire school year. Even my school was even more than that one school year. It went into the next school year. So it was 2 years of me being at home, at the fridge. We weren't going anywhere. All I spent money on was food and wine. That time was crazy. And of course, my husband was doing the same thing, but he didn't get any bigger. But of course, I did. So it just blew me up. And so, we fast forward now, it's 6 years, and I was struggling. I was struggling from, that 2000, I would say 22 to last year. So, that was my highest, biggest ever weight. I go out to eat a lot with my kids. I was just eating whatever I wanted to with no care. Sometimes I would exercise. Most times I didn't. Okay, I had like a little coughing fit there for a second. I had to pause. So anyway, back on what I was saying, I had gotten to a point where I just needed help. I was sitting and she wanted me to do bariatric surgery. To be transparent, I lost my mother shortly after she had bariatric surgery. I'm not blaming the surgery, but I highly suspect that that surgery had something to do with it. I did consult a lawyer, but this was back in 2001 when my mom had the surgery. So I have such a, I don't know. And I know things have changed. Of course, medicine has gotten better, since 2001. That was 25 years ago. But, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow when I know that is the surgery that my mom had. And 2 months later, she passed away from a heart attack, which, again, I'm not blaming the surgery. It was just a rough time for me. The bariatric surgeries, the sleeves, where they're cutting you open, going into your stomach. If push came to shove, and that was something I had to do, I would. But I just wasn't ready to want to go out and do bariatric surgery. So the next thing that she asked me about was GLP-1 Zepbound. And I was a little apprehensive about, taking shots as well, because I don't like needles. I don't like needles. I don't like getting my blood drawn. I hate when I have to go do lab work and stuff like that. I don't like taking a flu shot. Those shots hurt. So but as much as I didn't like shots, I knew I needed help. That was what was available. So this was last year, and the Ozempic, trizepatide, what's the other one? There's another one. I don't know, but those types of weight loss drugs were kind of really catching on. The taboo of taking it was kind of starting to subside a little bit, and people were really having great results. I think at that point, last year, March, when I started 2025, in March is when I took my first shot. It was people were being a little bit more open to, these shots, than it was a couple years prior to when, people start, taking it, and people, felt like it should be only for diabetics, and it was like this whole big thing. So, I started it when, things were normalizing with it. I know some people still have apprehensions about you taking it, but I had to do what was best for me. I have an adult son that depends on me, and then I have a minor child that depends on me, and I have a whole house that depends on me. So I needed to get myself together. So this is where we were. And I hate to make it this long, but I just wanted to catch you up to speed, But all right, so here's what's going on. If you want to see how big I was, look at one of my Invisalign videos. Like, look at one of those last Invisalign videos. I think it was like week 26, and you will see what my size was. So back then I was 248 pounds. So that was my weight when I went to the doctor, and then my doctor sent in my Zepbound prescription. 248 pounds. It was bad. My weight 1 year later, and it's literally 1 year later, probably 1 year and maybe 2 weeks later, I am 198 pounds. That is a 50-pound loss in 1 year. And my case is kind of considered slow. Usually people, well, I won't say usually, but lots of people can even lose even more than that. Me, it's been 50 pounds, and 50 pounds has been lovely, by the way. But yeah, it's been 50 pounds. I still, I have a goal to lose some more, but it was the best thing I ever, getting the Invisalign to, straighten up the opening in my mouth, my teeth, and then doing this Zepbound, it has totally changed my life. I I just sometimes I pinch myself because I went from just having no type of I won't say self-esteem. I had self-esteem, but like I didn't care what I wore, and like I was just going through life then, eating and doing what I wanted. I just, I didn't really think about things the way I do now. Now I'm drinking my water, and I eat better foods. I'm not saying I eat that good, because I still have a lot that I need to switch. But, I'm just a lot more mindful, and I am over the moon and just enjoy. Sometimes on my ride to work and my ride home, and I'm sitting and I'm in my car and I'm thinking, I'm like, thank God that I made these choices for myself. I just turned 49 a few weeks back, and what a great way to start off my 50s, being healthier. I'm in Wonderland. I I'm just so blessed, and I'm just so thankful. My daughter treats me differently. She's like, and I don't want to, say it as a bad thing, towards my daughter. My daughter loves me, fat or skinny, but she treats me differently. She's proud, and I can see that by the way she treats me and how we interact now. She loved me before. Don't get me wrong, but she just, my husband, there's like subtleties that you can tell of how my coworkers, I am at work, so I'm trying to keep my voice down, but my coworkers treat me differently. It's nothing bad. It's just like subtle things. When you do something to improve yourself, you get improved results, and I'm seeing that. My students, I'm treated a little bit different by my students. So, I just wanted to give you guys an update and let you know, for my few followers, that I'm doing great. I'm going to try to jump on here a little bit more. Maybe I can kind of go into some of the things. I will. Matter of fact, I will. My next video, I will go through some of the processes that I did as far as getting on a GLP-1, having Zepbound, taking it once a week, and all the progress that I've made. So my classes are about to start. I have a student knocking at my door. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to subscribe, please do comment and leave me questions if you have some. And I'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.